Part of me hates how familiar this seems. I hope I can find a way to make this all feel new.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're diagnosing what we believe are the biggest issues with the final season of the medical sitcom Scrubs, and offering the treatment that we think would have set it on course for a full and satisfying recovery.
I've left so many times, I've come back so many times, even I'm confused. I think we should just sit this one out, old friend.
Season 9 in a nutshell. Season 8 of Scrubs delivered a fantastic, well-rounded finale.
And even though it felt warm and safe, I knew it had to end. It's never good to live in the past too long.
It brought back some key characters from the past 8 seasons, gave us a glimpse into the future, and tied up any loose ends. Honestly, we couldn't have asked for a better send-off.
And who's to say this isn't what happens? Who can tell me that my fantasies won't come true? Just this once.
So it was a bit surprising when they announced that Scrubs would be returning for another season, this time shifting the focus to med school with mostly new faces, plus a few familiar ones popping up here and there.
Thanks to insurance companies and malpractice lawyers, you have absolutely no hope of finding a rewarding or satisfying profession in this once noble field.
While the first 8 seasons really understood how to level the playing field between humor and heart in a way that fit the hospital setting, in this final season, the show leaned a bit too much into the new med students' antics and their stumbles as they tried to find their footing. It was a shaky walk on the tightrope between funny and dramatic, and the writing often lost its way. After just 13 episodes, the show was canceled, leaving a lot of the new storylines unresolved.
I guess there are lots of ways to get by in a hospital. You can try to just suck it up, or find someone to make the day-to-day hell bearable.
Where it went wrong. As we mentioned, this new season was packaged as Scrubs Med School, and indeed took the action from Sacred Heart, which we learn was torn down, to a new location at Winston University.
8 years of great memories. This place will live forever. They tore down the old crappy hospital and rebuilt it on the med school campus.
Although ABC had ordered the new series, creator Bill Lawrence has said that they wouldn't let him present it as a totally new series under the aforementioned name. So to most of us, this was just Scrubs continued but without most of our beloved cast, familiar setting, or well-thought-through storylines. Ahead of its premiere, Lawrence asked fans to give it a chance, but also warned that it might, quote, suck in a giant oh my god kind of way since they were, quote, swinging for the fences and making some major changes.
Part of me hates how familiar this seems. I hope I can find a way to make this all feel new.
Well, at least he was right about that. The final season was a significant departure from the original run. It focused on a new group of medical students and explored the challenges of medical school from a fresh perspective. Yet, honestly, you could have put them in any college setting and the storylines wouldn't have felt so out of place.
Going to my party.
That's not happening. Tonight we're trying a little exercise in team building. No one leaves until you take final interviews from the 4 terminal patients on this floor.
Now, instead of walking the fine line between laugh-out-loud moments and poignant emotional scenes, it was more an over-the-top exploration of how awkward being the new kid can feel, working to fit different stereotypes, and just more about the characters' personal lives than their journey into the world of medicine.
Please, I need your help. I was leading our group and they weren't listening, and I felt it happening again. See, whenever I get into a position of power, something changes inside me.
Lucy was the new JD, bright-eyed, eager to please, but often in over her head. She finds herself in a situationship with Cole, an arrogant rich kid who thinks he can coast through med school thanks to his family's deep pockets and big donations to the hospital. A health scare eventually humbles him, but given how insufferable he's been up to that point, it's hard to suddenly like him or understand why Lucy starts to develop genuine feelings for him.
I know it just started out as a hookup. I've realized that I actually really like him. And so, if it's cool with him, I'd like to introduce you all to my boyfriend.
That said, you can't help but root for him a little when he discovers his passion for surgery. We kinda want Turk to take him under his wing. He'd be the perfect mentor for a guy like Cole, who needs a little guidance.
Done. Somebody snare me.
Then there's Denise, now an RA, and Drew, a 30-year-old med school dropout, giving it another shot. Denise, a late but strong addition to the original cast, is still as entertaining as ever with her dry demeanor. Meanwhile, Drew becomes Dr. Cox's new protege, much to JD's frustration. Drew mostly keeps a low profile, occasionally dropping tidbits about his mysterious past while wrestling with his growing feelings for Denise. who isn't exactly steady in the romance department herself.
What else haven't you told me? I mean, do you have any kids? Have you robbed a bank? Are you in a cult?
No, and I wouldn't call it a cult. It was more like a marketing opportunity that ended with us all living on a compound.
While we might have grown to like the new cast in a different context, it was hard to connect with them because the original characters were still inconsistently involved.
Suitcase that mocks your one last gasp of coupledom.
Wait, what are we doing? JD, this is ridiculous. We can't go on a baby moon right now. There's 9,000 things to do before the baby comes. We don't have time for this.
Bringing back key members to share their wisdom with the new med students made sense, but it often felt like the show was stuck between focusing on the old and new groups.
Nobody's ever cared about anything you've ever said, ever.
For instance, JD left Sacred Heart to be closer to his son. So why does he suddenly return?
Sam was so happy this morning, I decided I'm definitely moving here. It's only 37 minutes from work, and it makes it so much easier for me to see more of him, you know?
I think that's great, JD.
This move seemed to undo a lot of his growth over the past 8 seasons. Elliot, pregnant with her and JD's first child, appears just enough to offer advice, but her storyline about navigating first-time parenthood is left hanging.
JD, I got your page. Look, before you say anything, I wanted to tell you I was wrong. I'm sorry. Like, you know, this is what I do before big life-changing events. I get way inside my own head and freak out.
And where's Sam? JD barely seems to spend any time with the son he moved to be near. Plus, having Turk without Carla around felt odd, don't you think? The biggest gap was the janitor's absence. He quits in the first episode and is never seen again.
Would I be hiding him? But he's coming back
No.
after his vacation.
No. And no one ever saw him again.
They seemed to try and replace his quirky presence with Drew's various backstories, but it didn't measure up. Ultimately, it was tough to focus on the new crew when the original cast's presence still loomed large.
When was the last time you guys saw each other?
This morning, we carpooled. But we haven't worked together in over a year.
Introducing a brand new cast meant the show had to build fresh comedic dynamics and new inside jokes, though it did fall back on a few old favorites. The tone felt more uneven than in earlier seasons, with a bigger focus on the grind of med school. The shift in tone required a different approach to humor, and it seemed like the writers struggled to balance the serious elements with the funny bits.
Don't say it.
I see dead people.
Yep, 15th time's the charm.
We just couldn't buy into the chemistry of this new group the way we did with the original cast. The OG gang may have had their own distinct personalities, but they always felt like they could be real friends. Even the mentor-mentee relationship between Dr. Cox and JD was believable. But Drew? It felt like he was brought in just to annoy JD.
Yo, look how silly it looks on me, you know? I hate wearing this so much. He said you put that on you, and he was yelling, and I was like, okay, don't get mad. But I don't want to wear it. I don't.
This new crew lacked the same connection, and it was hard to believe that even the shared med school experience could make their relationships work. The forced attempts to create camaraderie really took a toll on the writing quality. The season tried to dig into the tough realities of med school, exams, clinical rotations, research projects, but even though it aimed for the same humanity and compassion, the new cast was too focused on their own drama to give it the heart it needed.
I want to be a doctor for all those reasons, and a million more that I haven't even thought of yet.
No, it's not bad. Come on, let's go. We're gonna be late for the white coat ceremony.
Ooh, plus I look super cute in white.
Now you ruined it.
How do we fix it? The short answer is probably to rebrand the season as a brand new series, but as we said earlier, ABC didn't want to take that risk.
Call this particular school crap house would be an honest-to-God compliment. Plus, I'm the only teacher here worth a damn, and I already hate each and every one of you.
So we would probably start by making the new setting the Sacred Heart of the show. By that, we mean we would take the outline of the original series and see how it would work in the realm of med school.
I've finally figured out the key to getting everything done at medical school. Do a bunch of things at once and never sleep.
Hey, Dad, don't have a lot of time for our daily update, but here goes. School's hard, dorm's gross, not really dating.
Yeah, of course it would be a big cosmic shift for the characters, but rather than focus on that, we would go back to how the OG gang was able to interweave their personal stories with their work lives and come out stronger and more grounded every time. Sure, it's a sitcom. We want it to be funny, but also this is the medical world, and drama is bound to happen. And out of that drama comes some hard-hitting life lessons. It was the medical setting that made Scrubs so beloved and unique after all. We don't need to see a bunch of college students complaining about school. Those storylines already exist in abundance.
Avoid them. They are vampires. Time-sucking monsters who will torture you with stupid questions, mind-numbing incompetence, and petty emotional problems.
We get that the 9th season was an unexpected curveball for everyone, but we think the core of the series was its essentially perfect balance of hitting you in every possible feel. We wish the writers had extracted all these beloved elements and then crafted their new season around it. At least that way, no matter what happens on campus, the heart and soul that drew the audience in to begin with would be forever present.
Crying babies covered in chocolate, people singing happy birthday to my son who've never even met him before, you know, the whole routine. Where do you think we are?
While we totally loved the idea of the original cast passing the baton to the next generation of doctors, their roles should have begun and ended there.
Oh, hey, Perry. I'm really looking forward to teaching with you. Onward! Eagle!
Oh, good God.
Season 8 wrapped up their story so perfectly that we didn't need any more closure on their personal lives. What is Scrubs without Dr. Cox crushing a newbie's soul just to make them better?
I'd like you to come back with a better answer, and if you find you can't come up with a better answer, then please know I'm going to make it my personal mission to drum you out of this med school.
But did we really need that whole storyline about him writing his will? Probably not. For longtime fans, Turk was the perfect choice to mentor Cole. He learned to put his compassion before his ego, a path Cole likely would have followed had the series not been canceled. But Turk without Carla? That just felt off. Keeping Turk strictly in his teacher role could have patched that hole.
It'd be an honor to teach you, if that's something you really want.
It might be the first thing I've ever really wanted.
Don't get all mushy, all right?
It was tough to connect with the new cast when they kept dangling the characters we already knew and loved in front of us. If they were going to give the new group the Breakfast Club treatment, they needed to show us why this bunch could become a tight-knit group, even if just for med school.
Maya, you and Trang both left during the test. Where were you?
Guys, we all left at some point.
She's right. We have to stop turning on each other. Especially since it's so obvious that Cole's the one who cheated.
Elliot and JD started out as rivals, with JD instantly attracted to Elliot's intelligence, boldness, and of course her looks.
Sir, I have no idea.
Dr. Reed, can you help him out?
I'd say it's superior mesenteric insufficiency.
We needed that kind of dynamic to develop between Lucy and Cole. Their relationship felt forced, with no real reason to root for them and none of that same spark.
And Cole, though I've almost reconciled the fact that you are both my boyfriend and probably the human being I respect least on Earth, besides myself.
We did it twice this morning.
Drew and Denise might have been intended to mirror the push and pull of Turk and Carla's early relationship, but it was just two people constantly hitting emotional walls and trying to crash through them. That could have worked as individual stories or even as a slow burn romance if there had been more seasons.
This is where you say...
I'm in love with a sociopath?
Wrong. Yes or no. I mean, it's your life, sort of.
Then there's Lucy, who takes over JD's inner monologue role. Her voiceover should have added depth to her character and connected her story to everyone else's instead of focusing just on her personal dramas.
Flapjacks! Oh, thank God. I thought I was late for Dr. Cox's class. That would be the biggest mistake I could make.
Damn, girl. That was a workout.
Okay, second biggest.
JD's monologues made him relatable. Even if you weren't a medical professional, they helped us feel like part of the gang. We needed that same feeling from Lucy to connect with the new crew.
But whatever you do, don't wait for that pat on the back. Because believe me, it will never, ever... Oh, come on!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. The biggest mistake was probably the network not letting the creators start fresh.
I kind of felt connected to him.
Good. I'm sure you probably knew him for all of 30 seconds. It's not like I tried for 8 years or anything to get your love.
I thought we were over this.
None of us tuned in for a college-based sitcom. That's not what kept us hooked for 8 seasons. You can tell the writers struggled to balance the realistic challenges of med school with capturing the show's essence.
Long story.
Oh, sure.
Plus, with all the studying and the schoolwork.
So you can do it. You just need to learn how to prioritize.
Instead of weaving serious issues into the characters' growth and relationships, they often turn them into mere plot devices. The show should have focused on what made Scrubs great. keeping the humor sharp and relevant. New comedic elements are needed to fit naturally within the show's established style. We also missed out on the emotional depth that the original cast had. Meaningful voiceovers or inner monologues like JD's were needed to give the new characters the same insight and empathy.
For me, it was when I stopped worrying about how other people saw me that I finally started to look better.
To be fair, with only 13 episodes to prove itself, the new season faced a tough challenge, essentially trying to do in one season what the original cast built over 8.
All right, I am so excited to see what we've all written about Ben. Pass him up.
Still, they could have planted seeds to make the new group's stories compelling and leave us wanting more. Since they missed the mark, the series ultimately flatlined. If the creators had stayed true to the show's heart, they might have revived it and kept it as strong as before.
Every doctor needs to learn about lost causes like Alan. I just thought I'd come along for the ride with you.
Why?
Because when it happened to me, there was no one around to talk to me about it after.
What would you have prescribed for the final season to make it better? Let us know in the comments.
I'm drowning here. I wish there was just someone who could fly up and rescue me from all this.